Hello everybody, this is Hammerstrecker here. Today I've got a Glock 26 Gen 5 and a CZ P-10s. Please don't forget to check out our website. Go to our affiliates page. You'll find discount codes for things like Mantis X and Core belts. You'll find a link that you can sign up for Big Daddy Unlimited. They actually have things in stock and usually at a lower price than other places. Link to that cool little bore light that we use for lighting up the barrels. Use those links. It will often save you money, never will cost you any additional money, and helps the channel. Thank you. These are both contenders in the subcompact double stack territory that's kind of been around for a very long time. And interestingly enough, with everybody coming out with the micro compact, kind of the stack and a half concept, CZ coming out with a regular double stack subcompact is kind of interesting. And of course the Glock 26 in some variation has been around for a very long time, almost established itself as the de facto standard in that territory. So this is a 10 round gun. The CZ is coming in with 12 rounds in roughly the same form factor. They're very similar in size. The P-10s is of course a subcompact version of the P-10. It's been a little while since the P-10 came out for them to come along with this. And then for the Glock 26, this is the Gen 5 variant. They've been through multiple generations. The Gen 5 has kind of caught Glock up with some of the others when it comes to front serrations, front and rear serrations. Of course, the rear serrations have been there for a while. And the P-10s has somewhat smaller but just as functional front serrations and of course really functional nice rear serrations. The P-10s, like most double stack subcompacts these days, has a single slot Picatinny rail, and the Glock, like the 26 has always had, does not. Now as far as the Glock, there's a number of companies out there that have made trigger guard based devices for the Glock. It's been around for so long in that form factor, the aftermarket has caught up with it. The P-10, of course, can use any of the smaller optics or lasers or lights that are out there without any kind of a problem. The presence of the Picatinny rail is one thing that kind of does step it up a little bit ahead of the Glock. They're both striker-fired guns. They both have all of the standard safeties you're used to, the inertial and internal drop safeties. And they both have what I'll consider nice sights. So we've got 3-dot sights on the P-10s and your standard U-dot Glock sights. Both of these have night sight variations available, and both of them, the sights are replaceable. A screw holding the front sight in and then dovetail on the rear. So if you don't like the sights that come with them, then you can easily replace them. Neither of these are optics ready. So like a lot of guns now are coming out optics ready variant, both of these are sights only, and you would actually have to mill the slide if you wanted to put an optic on it. But these, comparing straight to each other, are that's classic subcompact territory, which is you get some sort of 3-dot, sometimes night sights, and that's what you get. Both of them do have replaceable back straps so that you can adjust the size of the grip. Both of them have aggressive enough texture that they're going to stay in your hand. Their pattern is different, but the texture is aggressive enough it's going to stay in your hand. But neither of these are going to tear your hand up. So they're both comfortable to hold and easy to work with. From a MSRP standpoint, they're close. The Glock's got an MSRP of $650 and the CZ of $605. So fundamentally, the prices are relatively close to each other. From a capacity standpoint, the Glock is a 10-round gun. The 26 has always been a 10-round gun and a 2-finger grip, pinky kind of hanging out there. The Glock has always been able to accept the magazines from the larger guns. So fundamentally, it's a 10-round, but it's also a 15, a 17, a 33, and on up from there. The only difference is Glock has never done anything as far as any kind of a sleeve. So when you have a larger magazine in it, it just kind of hangs down however far it hangs down and really doesn't kind of blend with the grip. There are third parties that make sleeves for them, but I've never found one that really integrated well. Glock just kind of never picked up on that. Walther and Springfield and some other companies have really come up with some really nicely integrated sleeves to extend the magazine. The CZ P-10s is base magazine, its flush mag, is a 12 round, and then it does come with a 15 round magazine that actually does have a sleeve that integrates well and nice and smooth. It's one thing I'm kind of surprised Glock never picked up on that, because everybody else is really doing it. And when you put that magazine with the sleeve in, you get a full 3-finger grip as opposed to about kind of a 2.5-finger grip. So that'd be an advantage the CZ would have over the Glock. Despite the fact that they've gone to the Gen 5 on the Glock and they've evolved quite a few things, there's a few things that are just kind of stuck on staying back in the late 80s. And I kind of don't understand why they're not moving forward on some of those things. For example, it'd be easy to put a Picatinny rail on this and not necessarily disable the use of the trigger guard things that are out there. They're just not doing it. From a trigger perspective, I'll get rid of the magazine in this guy. The Glock trigger hasn't changed a whole lot over the years. There's minimal take-up. And then on the Gen 5s, it's a slightly softer wall, but it's a little bit longer wall. It's a little less crisp, but it's very nice. It's very smooth. There's no stacking. Comes in right around 5.5 pounds. And the Glock has a relatively nice reset. It's not the shortest reset on the planet. And you're right on the wall. There's no additional take-up. And again, you've got a slightly longer, slightly softer wall in the Gen 5s. The Gen 4, if you don't like that, the Gen 4 has more of a crisp wall, but the same short reset and the same nice smooth trigger. I happen to like Glock triggers. I find them that they work quite well. Others don't necessarily like them. Now I'll go to the P-10s, which also has a nice trigger. And notice the trigger on the P-10s is almost a flatty, not quite. It's got a little bit of curve to it, but it's going towards more of the flatty trigger that's becoming popular. There's the take-up. A more sharp, crisp wall, very similar to like a Gen 4 Glock, comes in around 5 pounds. It's a little lighter than a stock Gen 4 Glock. Reset is very similar to the Glock. No take-up, I'm right on the wall. And again, that short, crisp break. So the triggers are both quite nice. They're just a little bit different. It's with if I had compared this to a Gen 4, I'd almost say the triggers were almost the same. Comparing to a Gen 5, it's that sharp wall versus soft wall. But honestly, I wouldn't find that the trigger in either one of these would be subpar or would interfere with your ability to shoot them well. The sights, some people don't like the U-dot sights, but that's a personal preference. You can always throw 3-dot sights on the Glock. But I find at the range, the sights on both of these are very functional and very easy to get along with. From a size perspective, I'm going to set them side by side. And neither one wins the smallest because they're different in different ways. You can see that the CZ is taller and it's also a hair longer, but it's not a significant difference. Neither one of these is going to make a difference that is going to make you unable to carry either gun, and their thickness is close enough to not make a difference. The CZ looks a little bit thicker, but it really isn't. It's fractions of a tenth of an inch. So overall, other than the grip height, really that's the most significant difference. And I know the grip is the hardest part to hide when you're trying to conceal the gun, but the difference isn't enough that I would say, well, I'm never going to be able to hide this one, but I'll be able to hide this one all day. Both of these would be very viable for concealed carry. The weight on them is close. The CZ is a little bit heavier at 24.4 ounces, the Glock at 19.72. If you're sensitive to weight, that probably of all the factors would make the most difference. A little bit close to a 5-ounce difference. But even that's not a huge difference, especially inside the waistband. I carry a Glock 26 Gen 4 all the time. Carry it inside the waistband, carry it in the pocket, and I really most of the time don't notice it's there. I would find that the CZ would be kind of close to that. So I would say that CZ did come in with a strong entry in that market. Took them a little while to choose to come into that market, but they did a good job. I don't think if you chose either one of these, you'd be making a mistake. Now, for me personally, I'm probably going to stick with my Glock. I've carried a Glock for many, many, many years. I'm comfortable with it. I'm used to it. I hunt with a Glock 29 or a Glock 40. They function identically. So for me, there's a lot of advantages to that multi-platform aspect of the Glock, and I'm just used to them and got a number of accessories. So personally, I'd pick the Glock. However, if you're coming into this new, you don't have a number of other guns in that same category. You don't already have holsters and lights and trigger guard lasers and all that type of stuff. and you're picking from the beginning, there'd be no reason the P-10s wouldn't be a good choice. It almost might come down to, when you roll into a gun store, which one of them's sitting on the shelf, what's available. I would pick them up, hold them, try them, see what you like, what feels good in your hand. But I found both of these are easy to shoot well, both of them were reliable, and both of them, I think, could do the job quite well. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell to be notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, kind of everywhere. And thank you.